The mighty Mongol Empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe. But it was crumbling by the late 13th century, and with its disintegration came the closing of the Silk Road. Without this trade route, Europeans could no longer buy silk, porcelain, and spices from Asia, but that didn't stop them from trying. And so began Portugal's Age of Discovery, a period of intensive exploration and global expansion driven by a desire for wealth, the spread of Christianity, and a dash of healthy competition. Between the 15th and 17th centuries, Portuguese explorers circumnavigated Africa, trekked through India, and established the first European settlement in Brazil. All this was done with the backing of Prince Henry the Navigator, a title bestowed upon Henry III of the Aves dynasty. Henry was a key player in Portugal's early success, although he never set foot in the lands his namesake would explore. Instead, he spent his life in and around Lisbon, building one of Europe's first and greatest ports. From there, he funded expeditions down the coast of Africa in search of a sea route to Asia. This push was motivated in part by the desire for trade, but also by the chance to convert non-Christians to the newly dominant religion in Europe. By the late Middle Ages, European society was predominantly Christian, thanks in part to the efforts of the Catholic monarchs of Spain. This process of Christianization would continue during the Age of Discovery, which saw the construction of churches and even entire cities in the name of God. But getting to Asia would not be easy. Despite its location on the Iberian Peninsula, Portugal had not been particularly successful at exploring or conquering across the sea. In fact, most of their naval activity was limited to the Mediterranean, where they had a powerful navy designed for fighting. The North African Moors. It would take a bold soul to sail into the unknown, a task made all the more dangerous by the introduction of new navigational tools like the astrolabe and the compass. But in 1418, one sailor did just that. Bartolomeu Dias rounded the southern tip of Africa, proving that a sea route to Asia was possible. Just over a decade later, Vasco da Gama would follow up on these findings, sailing along the East African coast and arriving in India in 1498. This monumental journey earned him the title of Admiral of the Sea of Darkness, an honor bestowed upon those who braved the unknown and returned safely. With the discovery of these new sea routes, Portugal became one of the first countries to benefit from the newly established global economy. They would quickly establish themselves as middlemen between Europe and Asia, controlling the flow of valuable goods like spices and silk. In addition to their religious zeal, the Portuguese were motivated by money. By establishing a monopoly on trade between Europe and Asia, they could earn huge profits by selling sought-after goods at inflated prices. In order to maintain this monopoly, the Portuguese would occupy strategic locations like the port of Goa on the west coast of India. This gave them control over the lucrative spice trade, which generated massive amounts of wealth for the Portuguese crown. But the riches didn't stop there. Thanks to their extensive trade network, the Portuguese were able to acquire a wide variety of goods, including gold, ivory, cinnamon, pepper, cotton, porcelain, bamboo, tobacco, fruits, and more. These commodities would then be shipped back to Europe, where they were sold to merchants and nobles eager to acquire them. In addition to the riches acquired through trade, the Portuguese also gained power. As they established settlements in various parts of the world, they were able to exert their influence over local populations, often subjugating them and exploiting their resources. Overall, Portugal's global trade network was a major factor in the country's rise to power during the Age of Discovery. Through their extensive trading activities, the Portuguese were able to acquire vast amounts of wealth, span their territory, and exert their influence over other nations. Their impact on the global economy was significant, and their legacy continues to be felt today as we look back on the Age of Exploration and the birth of globalization.